Thank you, everyone, for being patient with me as I'm getting everything straightened out here. Could someone do me a favor and get me one of the box cushions? I realize I have too many things over here. My house is busy. I don't like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So good morning, everyone. I'm sorry we're starting late. My name is Cathy Lhamo Jackson, and I've been coming to the center for over 30 plus years. And I welcome all of you. And so we clear everything up, this is an informal class by me, and I'm very ordinary. If you need to get up at any time to use the restroom, we have, I think, 6 of them in this building. The old days we had 2. So this is rather a wonderful place for people with older bladders. So there's a regular bathroom inside, and then there's a private one right up here, and there's several downstairs. Or if you need to take a break, if this is too much for you, if you need to get some water, whatever you need to do. Yes, Lama Kathy?
It's my tripa.
My tripa, I love my tripa. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I haven't done this part of Ngunu in a while. So let's just take a moment and just close our eyes and just relax. If you need to make any adjustments in your seat, please do so. But this is not a competition of how stiff you can sit. Today, I want you to be relaxed and have a fun time. Okay, let's start. So today's talk, I wanted to give a while ago on the lineage prayer that we say all the time at our center. Where's my glasses? I need to see all of you. Oh, here they are. Oh, that's much better. So this is a prayer that is very ancient, and I think sometimes people, we just rattle it off when we're here. It's the first prayer we often do, this or refuge prayer, and I've probably said it over 1,000 times, let's say 700 times. But how many times do I really stop and think about the history of this prayer, how profound it is, but also there's a lot built into this prayer for our practice and for our enlightenment. And not only that, there's a visualization that's very beautiful, that's very simple. So that's why I brought my friend our lineage tree, because this prayer is sort of all about this. Because this prayer is called the Dorje Chang Mahamudra prayer, and this is the Dorje Chang, or the Vajrayana, or the Karma Kagyu lineage tree. So one is a prayer and one is a tree. So I thought it'd be nice and I just wondered, anyone in the room doing Ngundro now or in the past? Preliminaries? Okay, so if you do the preliminaries, you do prostrations to this, and also you fill the whole sky up with all the teachers of your entire life. It's very beautiful. So I thought it'd be nice today for you to be introduced to this. So I was going to give a talk by Chang Rinpoche, who wrote a wonderful book on this. This is a compilation of many of his teachings. And before Chang Rinpoche, who passed last year, he was, I don't want to say a brother monk, he was a high lama, and then my teacher was his attendant for a long time. And Chang Rinpoche started every teaching with this prayer, every teaching. And he always gave a tiny commentary. But his teachings are very rich, and I thought they were, hi, you guys can sit down wherever you're comfortable. There's chairs over there, and there's cushions. You can just do whatever you like. So what I found was, instead, my teacher years ago at the beginning of a big prayer festival taught a beautiful teaching on this, and I actually got to see the recording, which is available to anyone, on a website called Remembering Rinpoche, just rememberingrinpoche.com. And these are stories of his students that have given accounts of their lives and how he affected their lives. So if any of you are students of Khenpo Rinpoche, you can always go to that site and or ask Lama Kathy or I about how to get in. So anyway, Rinpoche did this talk, and it's by Karma Kagyu Rinpoche, who is my favorite teacher for all times. He's from hundreds of years ago. But he's did incredible books that are really practical. I'm not very intellectual. I like really practical things. So this today is going to be kind of a practical talk. It's going to be a little woof, because there's a little bit of Mahamudra thrown in. But let's get into the talk. So this talk, by the way, any of you can watch this talk, and I actually transcribed it if anyone ever needed a transcription of it. So let's begin. But before we go into the talk, we need to do the prayer. And the prayer is in the red book, the very first prayer. I'm sorry, there's Tibetan script above it, but I think in order to get it into one page, it's just the first page. So we're going to sing it in Tibetan, and then we're going to say it in English so that you know what we're praying. And I think in all your practices, we are encouraged to do them in Tibetan, but always say them afterwards in English. But Lama Cathy sometimes starts people in different things also in straight English. So normally we put our hands in prayer mudra, which is like this, at the heart. But how do you do that and hold this? You just have one hand up if you want, or just think that your hands are in prayer. There's so many tunes for this. I'll see what comes forward. Om Dorje Janjen Telon Narodan Marpamil. I should stop. This is a prayer where you need to really rip. You need to really let your devotion flow. So it might sound a little emotional. I could just go Dorje Janjen, but today I want to kind of open up what it's like to be devotional. This is a really profound devotional practice. So don't worry about how you sound or how your neighbor sounds. Just really enjoy it. Oh, and normally the chant master hits a note first. Om Dorje Janjen Telo Narodan Marpa Mila Jeje Gamboba Doson Sheja Kungen Garmaba Jeji Junye Gyubazim Namdan Drita Tsalsum Palten Rupaso Zablam Jadya Jelanya Nebe Nyame Jogun Napo Kadjula So Adev So Kadjula Manam Yubazino Namdar Jinjilo Jenlo Kongi Kambar Son Bajin Zenor Kunla Chachen Me Padan Sedi Dudat Chupegom Jenla Negor Jemba Me Par Jinjilo Nuku Gongi Go Son Bajin Menya Tego Jepe Lamala Yundu Soa Tepe Gom Jenla Jumin Mugu Jiwa Jinjilo Nuenye Gongi Ngoshir Ganchar tobe ngowo somade machu degar jobegom chenla gonjalodan trawar jinjilo 남통오고 주골손 바신 지안마인 지안 잘와라 마가로발 잘외검젠라 골대열매 도바진지로 예와 곤투 연다나마단 드라메 즉기 발라론주진 사단남기 연텐라조네 dorje changi kapan yoto. Shall we repeat it? Dorje changi kapan yoto. And in English, this might be a little hard because some of the words are Tibetan, they're kind of transliterated. Great Vajradhara. So the first few lines are a list of people. Great Vajradhara, Talopa, Naropa, and Marpa, Milarepa, Lord of Dharma, Gampopa. Knower of the 3 times omniscient Karmapa, lineage holders of the 4 great and 8 lesser schools, Drekung, Taklung, Sapa, Glorious Drukpa, and others, you who have mastered the profound path of Mahamudra, the Karma Kagyu, unrivaled protectors of sentient beings, I pray to you, Kagyu Lamas. Grant your blessing that I may follow your tradition and example. As is taught, detachment is the foot of meditation. Attachment to food and wealth disappears. To the meditator who gives up ties to this life, grant your blessing that attachment to ownership and honor cease. As is taught, devotion is the head of meditation. The Lama opens the door to the profound oral teachings. To the meditator who always turns to him or her, grant your blessing that uncontrived devotion be born within. As is taught, unwavering attention is the body of meditation. Whatever arises is the fresh nature of thought. To the meditator who rests there in naturalness, grant your blessing that meditation be free from intellectualization. As is taught, the essence of thoughts is Dharmakaya. They are nothing whatsoever, and yet they arise. To the meditator who reflects upon the unobstructed play of the mind, grant your blessings, the inseparability of samsara and nirvana be realized. Through all of my births, may I not be separated from the perfect Lama, and so enjoy the glory of the Dharma. May I completely accomplish the qualities of the paths and stages, and quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. So you guys sounded great. Good choir here. Thank you. That was really nice. Okay, so now let's get into the teaching. So today, not only we're going to talk a little bit about a few of the different points that Rinpoche emphasized, but also we're going to use this as a learning tool, because that's what this really is. A lot of us have photos of this in our home. We have posters. And if you notice, this is a Vajrayana practice center, so we're full of all kinds of images. And they're not really to have art in your house. They are meditation tools that we use in order to know what we're visualizing. So today, this is very special. Someone who Lama Cathy and I knew from many years ago Zena Burnham, she passed, and she left this for our center. So we're very blessed. This is a very, very hard to find. This is an actual painting, I hope you know, with brocade cloth all around it. It's called a tanka. And in the back of it, you'll see symbols because it's been consecrated by certain teachers. So it's a very special lineage tree. All right, so let's get into the teaching. So, as I mentioned, that the commentary of this teaching today was written by the learned Karma Kagyu Rinpoche, who Khenpo Rinpoche really loved all of his teachings. And he wrote this commentary for a reason. He wanted to explain how we can use this prayer, this lineage supplication, which we so commonly chant every day, many of us, so that we gain and enhance our realization of who we truly are. Our goal is to become awakened. So everything we do goes for that purpose. Today, we're going to discuss, in this prayer, there are many parts of the body and different things, but we're going to discuss the head of meditation is devotion, the body of meditation is undistractedness, which is discussing Mahamudra, and then the foot of meditation is utter disgust for this world. So it's kind of interesting, it goes sort of from the divine to the real. So who can benefit from this? Of course, all practitioners can benefit from this, but Karma Kagyu particularly emphasizes one group of people who maybe have been practitioners for years, but they may be a little jaded. They may not have ever had any signs of realization. They may not have applied the practices. For them, this prayer should be taken to heart, and also for them to also talk to teachers to get further instructions. So first we're going to talk about devotion is the head of meditation. But first we need to talk a little bit about our ultimate goal, which is how Rinpoche sort of introduced it as in this way. First we're going to talk about Mahamudra. Have any of you heard of this term? I know many of you have. Who hasn't heard of Mahamudra? Okay, thank you for your honesty. So in our lineage, you might say that as a term you could almost equate with realization or becoming a Buddha, awakening. And it means great seal. It has many different meanings. And a lot of this talk today will have some of that in it, which I don't normally talk on Mahamudra. It's kind of like, whoo, but really, it's part of everyday talk. We really should talk more about it. So Mahamudra is a wisdom, this wisdom is called Mahamudra, which is extensively taught in the new and ancient tantras of the Buddha, his commentaries, and is the only path taught by all of the great Mahasiddhas that became awakened from India and Tibet and Nepal, or the whole Himalayan region. So Mahamudra is a wisdom which is equivalent to awakening, but we're going to use the word Mahamudra here today. All of those great beings that became awakened gained realization, and they did so through this path that we're talking about today. Therefore, Mahamudra is regarded as utterly peerless, unexcelled. Now, but there are some things that Mahamudra is not, which I love when the teachers go into this. Mahamudra this is how you cannot learn Mahamudra. You cannot be realized through conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding. No matter how intelligent you think you are, you cannot really figure out Mahamudra. And I'm going to tell you how you get to Mahamudra. Nor can Mahamudra be realized by extensive learning. So one is understanding, extensive learning, nor can you realize Mahamudra through scientific analysis. Nor can you do it if you just obsessively wish, oh, I want to gain Mahamudra. You can't get it that way either. There is only one way to gain this realization, this recognition called Mahamudra. And and that one way is through the devotion to your teacher or your guru. So I know many of you are familiar with the word guru because of yoga, but we also use that term for our teachers. We sometimes call them lamas because that's their title. But our guru is much more intimate. We have different gurus, different teachers. Some of us have maybe one teacher that we took refuge from when we became a ceremony to become a Buddhist. Then later, maybe we went to another teacher who would teach us all about how to develop compassion and wisdom within. And then maybe we went to other teachers for really these high-level seminars where a teacher would teach us the nature of our mind, Mahamudra. And then some people, like Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, did it all. Trungpa Rinpoche did it all, because they weren't just learned, they were very special in how they taught and in their spiritual experiences, and they shared that with us. Many times, during a lot of the seminars I was at, we all looked so forward to the questions and answers because we were all going through the same stages of not knowing, we were all stumbling around. And Khenpo Rinpoche could answer from the simplest questions to the most profound. So I pray that if you have not yet found your teacher, that you do. I would say at our center, we're very blessed to have Lama Cathy Wesley. How many, you all knew her, right? She was the woman who came in to help. She's not wearing her, she says her costume, her Lama robes today. She's off today, but she's never off. Lama Cathy is an incredible mirror of Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche. I can say this because I'm not a Lama, I'm not a teacher, I'm an ordinary person. From my own experience, I can really say this because I've seen her for over 37 years. She remembers so much of what, even at her age now in her 70s, she remembers what Rinpoche taught. And I could call her and say, I really don't know about this concept, and she could immediately tell me what it is. And she helps so many people. How many of you have had telephone calls with Lama Cathy? Yeah, Lama Cathy does a great deal of teaching, not just here, but by telephone, on the internet, on Zoom. She might not travel as much as she used to, but she still travels through the internet on Zoom. So your teacher doesn't have to look like an old Tibetan monk, just to let you know. My teacher now, I have another teacher for a practice I do, and he's in his 40s, and it's really weird to be 73 and have a 40-year-old teacher. But anyway, it's just, a different form. So when you hear the word guru, realize that Lama Cathy is very qualified to be a teacher, and she's very rare to be one of the Western teachers that graduated from Karma Kagyu retreat and is so actively still teaching. So how is the best way to have devotion to Lama Cathy? Do your practice and pray for her health and that her activity continue to spread and keep going. But we'll talk a lot more about that in a second. So I completely went off on a tangent, I'm sorry. I have a half hour now. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of rip through this a little bit more. So there's only one way to achieve Mahamudra, and that is through the devotion to your teachers. Now, if you don't have a teacher yet, you can always make that aspiration, but don't be too picky, and we're gonna talk about that. So the reason why this is possible is because the essence of this school of Buddhism called Vajrayana is taking devotion for your guru as the path. So we take devotion to the teacher, to the enlightened teacher, as the path to awakening, and that devotion. And so I already said what it didn't, right? It wasn't intellectualization, it wasn't scientific knowledge and all that. So now let's go a little bit more of what it is. So essentially what this means is that realization arises in you when you receive the guru's blessings. But the only way to receive the blessings is through your devotion. It is your devotion that enables you, opens you up to your guru's blessings. How do you develop that? Through prayer. So prayer is very essential, and that's why Tibetans are famous for all their beautiful prayers. But I also do a lot of prayers just on my own, using your own words from your heart. So I don't mean only formal prayers. So how do I develop devotion? Through praying. Only way to develop your devotion is through cultivating it through the act of praying to the guru. It must be sincere, heartfelt, deeply felt. It can't be something that's just mouthing the words. Therefore, it is said, devotion is achieved through the path of prayer. So the conundrum is, well, to whom do we pray? So the teachers have to have a type of qualifications before you just pray to anyone. So let me read what Rinpoche said. Although prayer is key to devotion, devotion is the key to blessing, blessing is the key to realization, you cannot experience this realization by just praying to anyone. Because when you pray to a guru, and develop devotion to them, you are actually becoming, it said like you're like a mold, like you've been pressed in the same mold of your teacher. Tibetans make substances where they put into these brass molds, and if it's a good mold and you take out the clay, it's beautiful. But if the teacher isn't all that developed, and you take that out, it's not developed. So we want to have a teacher that's very developed. So what are their qualifications? You need to receive instructions from a teacher that has been taught Mahamudra, has received the necessary reading transmissions, and they've experienced it and they practice this. So then you receive from them the instructions and the reading transmission. So that is sort of the direct way. You can then pray to a guru who holds the ultimate lineage of the true meaning. So it doesn't have to be the same teacher, because many teachers have this training. And you might say, well, Lhamo, it's fine, but these prayers are really, really old. Some of these people on here were born over 1,000 years ago. How can this be effective? Well, it is predicted by Shakyamuni Buddha that many of these teachers were actually in his sutras that he had spoke of, especially Lord Gampopa and the first Karmapa. And it is said that they promised whoever wanted to practice Karma Kagyu practices, they would always make sure that you had teachers, that you were blessed. So, and they never lied. So even though it's 1,000 years old, our lineage is called Karma Kagyu, and some people call it mouth to ear, whispering lineage. So it's an unbroken lineage. So you should have confidence. Just look at someone like Lama Cathy. She's a great example. I mean, and if you're a practitioner, look at your own self. See how the practices have really, over the years, changed you. Wouldn't you say that? I know I'm looking at many people here. They're not going to nod their heads because they're humble. But I'll say it. I have great temper. And now I know kind of what it looks like, what it smells like, how I affect people. Sometimes I can't keep my mouth shut. But you learn. And why? Because of the kindness of my teachers never judged me. So you need to find those type of connections. And we still have beautiful teachers throughout our centers and in our monastery in New York. Of course, in India and Tibet and Nepal also. So this is what is called devotion is the head of meditation. And that is not in the book, is not the first thing, but this is what Khenpo Rinpoche chose, and Karma Chagme chose to be the very first thing. And this analogy contained in this line particularly is apt because without devotion, meditation cannot function at all, just as the head of a body cannot do anything. So just as like without a head, a body cannot do anything. So you need to have the head. So now let's move on, since we're running out of time a little bit. In this practice, what's so amazing, so how many of you that have been here for a while do the visualization? I don't. Do you? Julaine? So you know the visualization. Somehow I missed that day. Must have been homesick or something. So, and I'm sure it's been mentioned before, and it just, sometimes you're at a Lama visit and you get distracted. So I was very grateful to learn this, because so many times you have a moment, you're already sitting there saying the prayer to just do this quick visualization. So I'm going to read it, and we're going to do it twice so that you understand it. So first of all, you are your ordinary self or your yidam. If you do Chenrezi, Green Tara, Medicine Buddha, any of the practices, Vajrayogini, whatever that you do. If you do Ngondro, you would have the yidam is Dorje Chang or Vajrasattva, depending on what you're doing. So, but let's pretend everyone in the room doesn't have a yidam. So you just your ordinary self sitting here, on the floor, or on a chair, it doesn't matter. And all of this is going to be kind of pretend right now. Pretend you're in daycare, okay? So we're all going to have a good time. So imagine above your head is a beautiful multicolored 1,000-petal lotus. It doesn't weigh anything. It's made of light. And it's a cubit above your head. So it's from your elbow to your middle finger, about 18 inches above your head, somewhere in space, or whatever is comfortable for you. And above that is a white moon disk that's laying flat. So there's a lotus with this beautiful moon disk on top. Usually a moon disk means it's a very peaceful practice. And seated on top of that is the first karmapa. So Jilang, would you mind Tim, could you come up and be my pointer? All right, I can count. Does anyone want to come up and help point? You have to know I'm so sorry. Is it okay if I stand up, Dawn? Okay, I'll stand up. But I'm going to hold my iPad with me. I'm sorry. This is the joy of cushions. So I can just throw it in my pocket? I guess so. Okay. Hello, everyone. I think I'll do it over here. I can see it a little bit better. I hope I'm not in your ways. I don't have a pointer, but and you're never supposed to point at the deities, but here we go. So this is called the short lineage. I'll stand over here. I think I'm in your way over here. I'm in everyone's way no matter what. So maybe I should just introduce you to hello, this is the lineage tree. These are all the past and current teachers. And we imagine everything is filled to the brim. The whole sky is filled. You imagine this in front of you or above your head. Then there's different categories. There's the Buddhas. There are Bodhisattvas. These are special yidam practices for retreat. And the bottom ring with clouds underneath them are the protectors of our lineage. So we're imagining here the really short lineage, which is from not him, this is Dorje Chang, but it's from above him on the way up. So this is the first Karmapa, and then this is Gampopa, Milarepa, Marpa. I'm not used to doing it backwards, and we'll have Dorje Chang up there. And also, there's two yogis from India, which are, where's Tilopa and Naropa? Tilopa and Naropa. So that's them. They're above the big blue circle. Okay. So afterwards, after the class, you can come on up and just look at it if you want. I can always send you a link of sorry, I moved. Are you okay? Okay. So now we're going to go through the visualization. So the very middle, above the big Buddha, remember, you're just yourself. You imagine this beautiful lotus and a moon on top. And we always do this because we don't want them just to sit in the air. So they're sitting on a nice moon mat or a lotus pad. So you imagine above your head, seated again on a moon, is the first Karmapa. He's older, and he has gray hair. He's wearing the robes of a Buddha, and he has a black crown. Above him, who is Gampopa, he is gray hair. He's older, and he's wearing a Gampopa hat. This is a hat. I have to always see who's here. So the hat of Karma Pakshi is a Karmapa hat, and I don't see a Gampopa hat here. They're more flat, but sometimes the Karmapa wears them. So we'll start again. You're a yidam. You're above your head is the lotus and moon, and there is the first Karmapa called Dusam Kempa, and above him is Gampopa, and again on a moon above him. So these are all their teachers. Is Milarepa, who is pale blue. He was a yogi, so he's wearing a white shawl, and he's often a little blue-green because he ate a lot of nettles. He has the top knot with matted hair. And above him is his teacher, Marpa, he's very stout. He's dark red in color, and his face is reddish. He has a goatee and wearing a brown robe. Above him is Naropa, who Naropa and Tilopa are the two yogis. Naropa's on the right, Tilopa's on the left. They're from India, so their skin's a little darker brown. They're wearing a top knot and ornaments of yogis. And above all of them is Vajradhara, who is the blue Buddha that looks just like the lower one. They're identical. And his color is as blue as space. And he's holding a bell and Dorje in his arms. And he is considered like the sixth Buddha, so he's a Buddha. So to review, I'm going to go the opposite direction because this is how the prayer goes. Above our head is Dorje Chang, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Gampopa, and Dusam Khenpa. So you just sit here during the entire time you're chanting the prayer, and you just keep reflecting that the whole lineage, the essence of the lineage is stacked upon my head. And also you imagine all the teachers of Mahamudra surround the lower, the Dusam Khenpa. So how do we pray? So when you're doing this, of course, you could just take time at home, look at a picture. We have all kinds of sites where you can look. And you can just take a moment to sort of work on that visualization. But then when it comes to prayer, there's a few different ways we pray. Because this is to the guru, to the teacher, who is a reflection of the Buddha, we have heartfelt feelings to the guru with one pointed focus. We pray in a style called calling to the guru from afar, where with our voice we have a type of yearning, almost like a child crying for its mother for help or for support. There's another way, another type of prayer called like barking of a dog. You know how sometimes dogs, when they see something, they start barking, they won't stop, and they don't do it in a little voice. They bark as loud as they can. So we're to do this with great gusto at home, if you're at home or somewhere where you can do this. Or here when we're praying. You may feel like crying to the guru, and you may do that. You don't have to control yourself. You cannot be quiet. You have to do this. It is a little bit like we mentioned, the child calling to the mother if they're afraid or if they've been hurt. Another analogy, we talked about the dog. It's called dog bark praying, which I've never heard it called that before. And there's also a sense of urgency when you're praying, that you're in need of help. So often when people are having a very difficult time, they go home, they actually play a prayer called Calling to the Guru from Afar. So we're doing it in the same exact manner with great urgency and devotion and great passion. So again, to recap, the prayer should be chanted loudly, not whispered, as though you were trying to get the attention of a teacher from a great distance. So there are signs when you do this devotion, and they include even physical signs. Of course, you might get goosebumps, you might have tears. And the attitude of devotion, as we said, is of great urgency. And sometimes there's great blessing and signs when this happens. So sometimes you may be inclined to stand up and dance or sing or use a different tune, whatever deeply stirs you up. So now let's talk about ending the visualization. So let's first go through the visual. Why don't we just, for a moment, look in the text on page 3 again, and let's read it in English, the first few lines. Great Vajradhara, Tilopa. No, so Vajradhara is in the blue. The top, we're going top down. Tilopa is the yogi on the left. Naropa, the yogi on the right. Marpa was the stout, red-faced teacher. Lord of Dharma, Milarepa, he was wearing the white. Lord of Dharma Gampopa, he is underneath Milarepa. And then knower of the 3 times omniscient Karmapa. So have they talked about him yet? Let's see. Lineage holders of the 4 great and lesser schools, that's where they're all circled around the Dusam Khenpa. They list all the schools. So I noticed in here they don't directly say Dusam Khenpa, but he is the omniscient Karmapa they're referring to. He's the very first Karmapa. He's was the first incarnation of anyone in Tibet, so he's pretty amazing. So why don't we sing the prayer in Tibetan one more time, just the first part, and we can go through the visualization. Are there any questions on the visualization? I'm not done with it, but... So let's just sing it one more time. We'll use a different tune. Dorje Chang de lo narodan marpa mila jeje gamboba nusun cheja kongen gamaba jeji janje yuba zimnam. We'll just do 2 more lines. Dritatsasum padendrupaso zablam chadya jela nyanebe nyame drogun napokajula soa depso Kagyu Lamanam. And it ends, it says, I pray to you, Kagyu Lamas. So does everyone remember who are you in the meditation? Yourself, right? And what's right above your head? Anyone can speak up. Lotus. What's on top of it? Moon mat. And so after that, I'm not going to ask you the names, but let me go back through one more time. So, and they're all seated on moon mats themselves and just stacked up on top of your head. So I want you just to take a moment and just close your eyes, and I'm going to read it to you. So you are seated, and above your head, imagine 1,000-colored lotus with flat moon disc on top. And seated on a moon is Dusum Khenpa, who is the first Karmapa. He's older, with gray hair and wearing a black crown. Above him is Gampopa, also elderly, gray hair with a special Gampopa hat. Above him is Milarepa, who is slightly pale blue with matted hair, wearing the white cloth of a yogi. Above him is his teacher Marpa, who is dark red in color, with a goatee and a brown robe. Above him is the yogi from India if you're looking at it, on the right side, with tan skin, a top knot, and ornaments of a yogi. And on the other side, but actually this time you're just visualizing they're all stacked on top. So nobody's over here and there. In the picture, they're always there, but here it's just straight up, because it's a straight lineage. So you had Marpa, translator, and straight above his head was Naropa and then Tilopa, and above him is the big blue Buddha, Dorje Chang. And he can be very large. He can be much bigger, like he is there. So then we did the prayers, and then we also visualized there were a lot of other teachers of this lineage, all kind of forming a circle around the middle. And now let's end the visualization. This is very lovely. At the end of reciting the prayer, or if you need to do it at some other point, think that all of those gurus visualized above your head just melt into light and dissolve into the first one who's above your head. So basically, the Dorje Chang would melt into light and go into the Tilopa, and then Naropa, and then Marpa, Milarepa, Gampopa, and then Dusum Khenpa, and then the first Karmapa. So now you're seated there, and the only thing above your head is the lotus and the moon mat with Dusum Khenpa sitting there. Then this is what you do. Let's do this right. Oh, here it is. He then melts into light and dissolves into you, like water into water. And here you think that your body, your speech, and your mind is joined with the body, speech, and mind of all the Kagyu lamas. So the entire tradition over 1,000 years ago has just been poured into you. And you just sit there and rest. And at home, you can rest for as long as you wish. Are there any questions about the dissolution? This is very standard how we do dissolutions with various practices we do. There's a lot of visualization of things melting and then joining into you, because this builds up your confidence that you also have those blessings. It's not just someone who looks like they're from Tibet or somewhere. So this is for anyone. So at the end of the, let's see, we went through that. Again, remind yourself the entire lineage has been poured into you. And this is very common in other types of lineages. His Holiness Dalai Lama is a different lineage than us. We're Karma Kagyu, he's not. And the Nyingmas and the Sakyapas, and he's Galupa. So they all have a different lineage tree. I don't know if you know that. So this is the Karma Kagyu style. So then, because of time, I'm just going to touch on two things. So the second meditation that Khenpo Rinpoche and Karma Chagme emphasized was undistractedness is the main body of meditation. And I think what I'm really going to talk about, I will read a little bit of this because this is a very profound teaching on Mahamudra. What you do is now you simply look at the nature of your mind. Pardon me. I now have a sale at Chico's. Okay, so let me turn my phone off. I'm sorry how to do that. You know, I work in a hospital. Of all the people, you'd think I would remember to do that, but no. Can't turn it off. There it is. So here, you simply look at the nature of your mind. No, so how do you do that? You can have your eyes open or closed or slightly open, and you just let your mind drop. Let your mind just rest. And here's some parameters. You don't attempt to chase away any thoughts, nor do you invite any. You simply cultivate being undistracted from an awareness of your own mind. That awareness is aware of the mind, but does not seek to alter or manipulate anything. Let go of any hope for a good meditation or fear of a bad meditation. The key here is not what particular states arise for you, but the key is that you do not alter whatever state arises. It is all perfect. Furthermore, any meditative state, such as meditation experience or realization that results from this, is free of any diversion from the path. Therefore, it is unnecessary to pick and choose from among your thoughts of what you think is the best thing. You just let the mind be. And the true key is, and I heavily bolded this for me. So this is from another conversation, but it says, for the same reason, there is nothing particularly bad or problematic about movement or turbulence in the mind. So if the mind is agitated. Because sometimes when we do this practice particularly, we might get a little emotional. So our mind might become a little more agitated. Sometimes when you're emotional, the mind is a little faster. That's fine. As long as there is an undistracted continuity of recollection, that's fine. Because you're not trying to change your mind. You're trying to see it as it is. Your mind is already everything it needs to be. It is already the awakened nature in its nakedness. It is the Buddha. It is sufficient to simply cultivate or practice a gentle mindfulness or alert watchfulness of the mind. So your mind is perfect as it is. Many times when people learn these, remember we said you can't be too intellectual, you can't be scientific about this, you can't force anything. This is something that you will learn later on more so from your teachers. They will do something called a pointing out instruction. And this might be a sentence or a look you never know how they're going to point it out. Often you will study a little bit more about Mahamudra, but this is just a very tiny introduction to Mahamudra. But in the beginning, it is necessary to generate the intention to cultivate this. But after a while, that will all drop away, and you will just rest in that state. So if any of you here doing shamatha, the calm abiding meditation we do here on Sundays, we teach it at 10 o'clock downstairs and do it here at 10. So that is a very wonderful place to first start coming to learn how to calm your mind a little bit, just through just simple practice. So, and that's they're all kind of building up steps. And then the last thing, I only have a few minutes left, is, remember we talked about the head was devotion, the body is undistractedness. So that was undistractedness, resting in the nature of the mind. That's often what they call it. The third one is you need legs. So the legs is utter disgust for this world. Of course, we all love everything here, right? I mean, what's not to love? We have Amazon now, so we can always buy anything we want, unfortunately. But this is all gone. You will not be here forever. None of your things will last forever. In fact, what's maybe more offensive is even when we die, we can't take our body with us. So you can't take your friends, your loved ones, anything. So start to have a taste for realizing that this world that we call samsara has a lot of suffering and a lot of unsatisfactoriness, but it's very alluring at the same time. That's kind of part of its charm, why we're still here. So let's see if I wrote anything special for this one. And then the final comments are really beautiful. Rinpoche said, this prayer is extraordinary, in that the essential point of all the instruction is for the practice of Mahamudra, is that it's very clearly stated in this prayer. It is also not only a clear source of instruction, but embodies tremendous blessings, because the author, his name is Bengar Jamal Zammo, was born in 1427 and died in 1489. He was one of the greatest disciples of the 6th Karmapa. We're now at the 17th, by the way. And he did 18 years of practice, solitary practice in a cave. And he composed this prayer during his meditation. And it's been a beloved prayer ever since. And the summary is, if you can recite this prayer with clear understanding of its meaning, or try to, I would say, in the beginning, with devotion, with respect, try and remember the visualization, then no matter who you are, if you are female or male, if you are Chinese or Tibetan, if you are of Asian, European, African, or American descent, there is no doubt that you will gain realization of Mahamudra, of awakening. So let's just take a moment. We have 3 minutes. Settle yourself. And now we're just going to, traditionally we always offer the merit. We dedicate all of the goodness of you being here, all of your patience, your kindness, your beautiful voices, your attention. We dedicate that for those that may not have reached certain levels or have had these opportunities that we have. We have amazing opportunities here. So we dedicate that to those that are in need, that need help. And not just to people you know, but anywhere throughout the universe. Or you can sing, or you can chant irregular prayers. So there is a prayer we always say at the end that dedicates everything. Sonam di tamje zipani, tone nepe dranam pamjene, ega nachi bala tupai, sipe sole jowa sho. Thank you, everyone. You've been lovely. I'm sorry we didn't have Q&A today, but normally I never have anything to say, but I really thought this prayer was so beautiful. And the visualization, which obviously I've never learned. everyone who set up all the sound system, Don and Julaine, thank you for setting this up for the Tanka. It's so nice to have it here.